Alright, so first thing you're going to want to do is get your tools. What I use as tools are 4 clamps and 1 pull-up cord. Right now I got a packing mat attached to it, but I use 3 little ones and 1 big one, and then I use 1 to 2 pull-up cords. 1 pull-up cord I use to close the container, and then the other I use to hold it to whatever object I'm using to keep it from moving. Next thing you want to do is stow your brakes. Theoretically, if when you are done jumping you don't let go of your toggles and you velcro them back to your risers, then you shouldn't have to worry about them being all tangled up. But always double check and do a line check, and then stow your toggles. To stow those, it's real simple. Put the camera down. So you put the toggle. There's usually 2 brake settings. On this canopy there's only 1 because this is my ultra low canopy, but on the parachute that you're going to be jumping there's going to be 2 brake settings. There's a shallow and a deep. For what we're going to be doing, you're going to want to go deep. So you take, these are called line through toggles. So you put the line through the cat's eye, and then you take that line, come back up through the ring like so, and then you stow your toggle. People have different preferences as far as which side you want the excess to come out to. I like the excess, when I'm going slider off, which is what we're going to be doing out there, I like the excess to come to the outside, because once you unstow these there's nothing holding it to. So unlike skydiving or slider up, if you were to put your hand through here and unstow it, it's not going to cinch down on your hand. All it's going to do is you can just undo your hand and you're fine. Now if you're jumping slider up, I put the excess to the inside, so that's less of a risk. However, when we're doing slider down or slider off, I like these to be nice and centered with the rest of the lines, so that's why I stow the excess to the outside. Make sure your Velcro's good all the way down, and do the same thing to the other side. Stow your excess on the back, and then you can start doing a pro pack. And you do a pro pack just like you would on a skydiving rig, but you lay it down a little bit different. So I'm not going to bore you with a standard pro pack, but I will chime back in with the other things. So then comes your standard pro pack, which first thing you also want to do is make sure that your risers are even. So whatever you tie your container to, I usually either use the packing mat or the bottom rings of the container. If it's not articulated, here is where I usually tie it, but if that's not articulated you can just loop it around here. If you use your leg straps, you got to make sure that they're equal or else you're going to be uneven. So lay down, pick up all the risers, do a standard line check. This is a 7-cell. All base canopies are. always do is I keep this one separated. It makes flaking it a lot easier. So you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're going to want to flake out each individual cell, unlike skydiving where you can just throw the whole goddamn thing together. And do the same thing all the way back. 1, 2, 3, 4. This counts as 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to notice that you've got white, 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 and red. These are your inside C's. Those are also known as your red friendlies. There's also going to be this little guy. This is a tailgate. That's on your inboard C as well. So that comes in really handy actually. Keeps you from dying.
Do you want me to still stay over here?
Yeah, so don't think that this is anything weird. This is supposed to be there. I'll show you how to use it in a minute. So, there's that. And then 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And it's nice if you have it tied to something nice and solid. Makes you be able to get better line tension and stuff.
Tell them what you're doing.
Flaking the tail. This isn't that important right now because of the way that I packed.
Oh, well, true.
So
Sorry, never mind.
this is just to get a little bit more organized. Take your center tail pocket. Grab up here. Sweep your entire nose off to one side. And then give her a nice plop. Make sure that the bridle's out of the way. And then you can grab your tools. Only tools you're going to need right now are the clamps. Pull-up cord doesn't get used to last. So then you come up here. Get all that shit out of the way. You start with your nose. And come on down. So you've got 1. This is really important for heading performance, that you make all these even. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I do a lot of counting throughout mine. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sweep all that fabric back. You want to go about, say about a foot. Grab all this fabric. Take your big clamp. Clamp that right here. And then count 1, 2, and 3. Take that first 3. Hold it. Take the second 3. Sweep it completely under. And you want this to be completely in line with your entire rig. So you got clamp straight all the way back to your container. Okay? Then take your foot, put it on the clamp so you can hold your line tension. Count your first 3 cells. 1, 2, and 3. Take all the excess fabric, bring it over, and you've got your first 3 line tabs, which is where your attachment points are. Hold those tight and in line with your container. Grab the excess fabric and flake it out. So you've got all the fabric and all the lines. Then you come in here and you follow this next cell center seam, because that's your center cell, and you follow that all the way up to the line tab. So you've got that whole thing, and you just bunch that up in the center. Okay? So all of that's lined up. You've got 4 line tabs here. And then you can step on that guy. That way you can keep your line tension. And you do the same thing for the next 3 cells. Or the next line group of cells. So you take 3, flake it, walk up the center, and you want to be walking it up the whole time, pulling all the excess fabric up into the center so that it's taut, so that you can't pull it this way any further, and that way it keeps it all bunched up in the middle. So you've got 4 line tabs again. Take another small clamp, clamp those guys. Now your bridle attachment point will be in that section, and you want that to come out straight in the middle as well. Do the same thing one more time. And these aren't always going to feel like they're even either, especially depending on the parachute that you're using. So flake all those out to the side, walk up your center cell, just keep following the seam and tagging it towards you. And just make all the line tabs even. If they're not all super tight, it doesn't really matter at this point. It just matters that they're all there and that you've got 3 on the side, 1 in the center. So then you can take your tail and just kind of flake it over just to get it kind of out of your way. You want to keep all of your seams in line with the lines, and then all the excess outside of that. I don't usually mess with the tail until the very end, but some people like to flake it first. So then you switch, come over here. I just toss all this shit on top, and I do the exact same thing on this side. 1, 2, and 3. There should only be 3 cells left. So, then you take that, you dig without really fucking up your pack job enough to be able to grab your first line attachment point. Now, on the canopy you're jumping, they're all color coded. So if you have like 3 grays and 3 dark grays, you fucked up. So those guys go over. This parachute is not color coded line tabs. So then you have all 7 line attachments right there, and you can lift up. So you've got your nose. Hold it, come over here. You've got your nose clamp in the center running all the way parallel. This entire center cell is draped in the middle, and then you've got 3 and 3. And those are clamped right here. Put your foot on the clamp. Do the same thing here. You got 1, 2, 3. Line attachment points. Flake all that shit over. Grab your next line attachment points. You should have all those, all 7. Clamp them, and then you can make sure that your center cell is right here in the middle. 3 and 3. And then you've also got your bridle coming right out in the middle. And you've got your 1, your 2, and your 3. Again. And all of this is just my way of packing. You don't have to pack this way, but this is what I'm most familiar with. This is the way that most of us in Neo pack. So it's really what's more common. Some people flat pack them. which there are videos of flat packing on YouTube. I know because I just looked at a couple because I wasn't going to make this flipping video. I was just going to send you to one of those, but I wanted you to pack like how I do. So once again, center cell in the middle, 3 over, 3 over. So now that that's all done, come back around here. You can put your foot on this last clamp, and then we start dressing the tail. So you've got all your lines theoretically should be in the middle. Granted, I need to snug them up in the middle here, but the idea is to have all your lines in the middle, all the fabric to the outside. So that for your tail, you follow the seams. Take your stabilizer and put your stabilizer like that. What I do is I just put my hand down, grab onto both of my tails, or both the first 2 lines of the tail, and smooth it out so that my seam is still in line with the center. Do the same thing for the next one. Your parachute's going to vary a little bit from this one because that's you're jumping a Mayhem, which has another attachment point, versus this one does not have an attachment point right here. So there's no line here, but you still fold that same as you would. You still flake it out, you still hold it down, and then it just basically skips one on this because it's a Fox XS. And then you do it again to this seam. Any seam that's in the tail, you're going to bring to the center and flake out the outside. And you can pull it up to make sure. Here, there's another one. And then you've got your tail pocket, which has a seam directly in the center. And that's that half of the tail flaked out. All your red lines are nice and close in the middle. And then you do the same thing on the other side. Throw all that shit over. Take it into the middle. Pull the top of the stabilizer out a little bit. Flake 1. 2. Here's that empty line. Sometimes it gets hard to see the seam, but you can feel them. And you just want to pull all that fabric up to make sure that the seam is in the center. And you're in your center. And your tail is pretty much done. Now the rest of your shit is not. Some people, I do not recommend doing this because a friend of mine went in this way. Tie a pull-up cord here to keep all this shit together. You don't need to do all that because you can straighten it all out now. So I always flip the center one up because you have to get to your lines that are up here. And then come over here. You start off with your A line groups. You count to 4. You got 4. And you go to your B. These are color coded down here where the line attachment points are. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you can take that, push all the fabric outside. Go over here. Because I can't do anything with you there. Okay.
I didn't want my shadow in it, so.
So you've got 4. And then you get all the fabric out, all the lines in. And then those are good. Then you go up to your next line group, which should have 1 red and 3 black, because your lines are black on that one. Scoot all the fabric over, nuzzle your 4 line attachment points here. 4 here, all that fabric over, and then you take your tail and you put it in line. And then you do the same thing on the opposite side. here. So you've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Sweep all that shit outside. Scoop those to the middle. Scoop your next line group to the middle. Third one, you'll have one red again. And one of these two sides will have this tailgate on there. We're about to that point. Then you go up here. This fourth one will also have one red. Those are called your friendlies, ironically, because those, if you're going to have a line over, those are the lines that'll give you a line over. That's why they're red. So you've got all of it here like this. You go into the center where there's no lines. Go in the direct center, grab that nose, and just, you want to put a channel right there. Okay. So then you go up here, you can get back your line tension. You pick up, starting with your nose clamp, you give it a light tug on that next one, light tug on the next one, light tug on that. So then that's your finished pack job. The rest of it is all just folding that bitch and putting it in the container and then doing your lines. So tailgates next. Make sure you're lined up down here. Grab all of your red lines. So you've got one coming from each toggle, and then you've got one coming from the rear risers. So you'll have 4 lines. Start down here, walk it all the way up without pulling up on it. Don't ever let them go. Just take all of them. The one with the tailgate here, you want to just turn it. I always do it so that the line is on the inside. And then you put them all inside there. If you broke the rubber band, it's no big deal. Just use a small rubber band. Cut a regular skydiving smaller rubber band in half, long ways, and that's what we usually use. So then you can nestle all these together. Do your 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Bring them together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bring them together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nestle them together. Take your tail, nestle it together. There you go. Next, take the clamp off the top of the tail. The last clamp you put on, that's the first one you take off. So you take that off. Grab this, fold your tail back in so that the seams are in, and it's flat like this. You can hold right here if you want. I just tuck it down like that. This is your secret stow. Grab all your lines, and it doesn't matter if you drag the canopy a little bit here, it doesn't hurt it. You want a solid bite, it's about a 2-inch bite. Then hidden in here, this is called your secret stow. There's a rubber band. Just take a nice bite of that. Put your knee on this while you're doing that, that way you don't go all over the place. Then you take this and you tuck that in the hole where the rubber band came out of. Then you go down to your stabilizer here, and you take your entire canopy on both sides. See how you can see the stabilizer? And you roll it. You can take the stabilizer with it, and you tuck your entire tail. That gets your entire tail to the size of the tail pocket, all the way up. Okay? So there's that. The whole time you're trying to not step on the canopy. Next thing you do is untie or unhook or take the rig off or whatever of your canopy. And at this point, this is where I put my pull-up cords in, and this is why I use 2. because I put one in the top, one in the bottom. You don't have to use two, you can use one. If you use one, start it in the bottom one, which is nice to use two. Because they're there, just make sure you have two when you're done. Take the top and tuck it in so it's out of your way. It's underneath. You got a nice wide open pack tray. Then you come back down here and make sure you don't have any knives or anything like that, because I don't want holes in my shit. And then you just sit on it. Get all the air out. And you sit up. You undo the Velcro tail pocket. Fold the Velcro down so that it doesn't stick to the lines and destroy the lines. And then you start doing S folds with your lines. You want to start big and then just gradually get kind of smaller. The bigger you start, the flatter it lays. You're going to have to move. That's going to be wider than you can stand. Now the last one, I put my finger in between here and I split the two halves, okay? You want to make sure that they're still even, and you tuck the first half on the one side and the other half on the other. That way they're divided. Your lines look pretty damn good actually. So then you start, make sure you're all Velcro. Your tail pocket's going to be a little different. It doesn't have the flaps with Velcro like this one. It just has Velcro stitched to it all the way around. So you want to line those up nice so you don't have any exposed Velcro. So there's your whole, the lines part. So that should look pretty simple. Get more air out of it. Now that first clamp that you took off, you want it nearby, because this is where you're going to use it again. Then you do your first reduction fold, which should be about half. You fold it in half, because you've got this much, you fold it in half here so that the edge comes to the center, like how it is right here. And you do that all the way up, and then you do that again. Take it in half, hold in the center, fold it forward, put your knee on it. Make it all nice and organized, all the way up. And then you do the same thing here, half, and then half. This is called a tilly fold. Makes it lay flatter on your back in the rig. Also just gives one less thing to inhibit your lines from coming out. Put your first clamp there, then take the second to last clamp that you put on and put it at the top. So you've got, this is your pack jack. Now you can start to put it in a container. Come back down here. Just take a nice grab here so you've got all your lines so that they're not going to come out of your tail pocket. Come up here, lay it down and tuck it in. Then you take your riser on this side and you walk it up. You want to pull it out to the outside so that it goes down all the way to the corner, and those are all the way tucked over. You do the same thing on this side, and while you're doing that, you want to make sure that your risers are going where they're supposed to be going. If I could get that damn pull-up cord out of there. And You can give yourself a little, but make sure that it's laying flat. Because if you have the container kind of crunched up because you pulled down on the risers too much, it's not going to allow you to make a pretty pack job once you go to put it in the container. So there's that part. Next, if you're using a packing thing, you can 86 the packing thing, but you don't have to. Okay, so right here is the top of my container. So I take off my first clamp, so that's number 1. Put my hand here, grab a hold of my nose clamp, bring it up to my face, and lay it down. And if you need to move it down, you can. You want to level that out with the top of your container right here. Okay? So, top of your container. Then you do your nose. Count out 1, 2, 3. So these are your first nose. You fold it in half, fold it in half again. This is staggering your deployment. This helps a lot with on-heading openings. So you do the same thing on the other side. 1, 2, and 3. Fold it, fold it. Then you dress the nose. Come down here. So this is your center cell. You open up your center cell so that it goes and encompasses your entire rig. So you've got the center rib, should look like a Klansman's hat. Okay? That's how you want your nose. Because that way, these don't deploy first, it's your center, and that way it's not the left or the right that's opening first, it's directly in the center. Helps with headings. So then you grab at the bottom of the container, which is right here, take off the next clamp.
Clamp number 2.
Clamp number 3. And then you reach under here, and you grab onto clamp number 4. Fold it up with clamp number 4. Grab onto the sides of your container. Jump on top of it. All my containers are bad seats, so they all have the same closing sequence. So when you're at the bottom pin, you do the side with the flap first. And then you go over here and do that side. Now you take off your last clamp, so that's all 4. Now you don't just yank on this. You take this and you roll it down into the container so that it doesn't get pulled over like this. Because you can just yank on this motherfucker, it'll close, but it's going to probably cause you an off-heading because you rolled half the parachute that way. So there's that guy. Do the same thing on this side. You kind of like pinch it and roll it the opposite way with the flap of it. So now you've got your container like this. Grab your bridle, and depending on the bridle, that I think yours has the same bridle as this. It's got a skinny bridle, so it's stitched like that in half. So the way that this is routed, pin up through like that. Now, if you don't have a pilot chute on it, I would get this bridle out of the way, because then you're gonna go to finish this pack job and step on it and pop your pack job open and probably dump it all over the ground. So if you have a pilot chute on it, just make sure it's out of the way. If you want to stow it now, you can. It's not going to hurt anything to stow it now. Right now I don't have a pilot chute on, so it doesn't really matter. So I just fold this thing up just to get it out of the way so I don't step on it. Okay. And you push in all your excess. Now if you look at your pack job, all of your line tabs should be right here. So it should be a nice centered pack job. Then you take your bridle and you lay it down so that it comes out the center. You can also take it out the top. There's more than one way to skin a cat. It doesn't really matter. Then, here I've got this fucking packing protector fucking thing. So then you grab your whole thing, just flop the top flap over, and kind of tuck these top guys in. And then you just route it first. Make sure to go over the bridle if you're going out the center. If you're going out the top, then bring it out like that. I always pack out the center, and I don't want too much excess. You can always pull out more. So I just run it down just like that. So that's routed like that. And you dress your risers. You've got tuck tabs on the rig that I'm running you. You've got a tuck tab here. Rather than magnetic, these are magnetic. So you just tuck tab your risers. Grab the whole thing. Give it a shake or two or three or six. Doesn't matter. That just helps fill out the bottom corners. And then the whole thing basically closes. Easy as shit. You shouldn't have to put much effort into closing it. Don't leave these fucking things in there or you die. You want excess here. You want just enough so that it's got room to pull. There should be excess here in between. And you're going to remove your pull-up cords. And you're going to count your tools. I got 4 clamps and 2 pull-up cords. That's what I started with. Flap closes over them. Your flap's going to be pretty much the same. It doesn't have the tuck tab here. Take your bottom. And then flatten her out. Here's your tack tab. And that's how you pack slider down. And yeah, hope this helps.